Dear 2CDR312 students, so welcome to our very first lecture for the semester. So this chapter is basically an overview of marketing. So one might ask, what is marketing? Well, generally, marketing is much more than advertising or selling products. Many people think marketing begins when a television advert is shown or when a salesperson convinces someone to buy something. In reality, marketing begins long before a product is produced. Marketing is the process of identifying customer needs, creating products or services that are going to satisfy those needs, communicating the value of those products to the customers, as well as delivering them efficiently to the customers and ensuring that customers receive value in exchange for what they pay. So, in today's competitive business environment, organizations that understand their customers are most likely to succeed better than those that simply just focus on producing um, products. Okay, so marketing, first of all, has two main or two important facets of views. First one being marketing is a philosophy or an attitude. So, marketing is a customer orientated way of thinking. It focuses on understanding and satisfying customer needs. And the main idea behind this is that the customer is at the center of the organization's activities, meaning that whatever the organization does, the main person in their mind or in whatever they're doing, the customer revolves around everything that they do because the main aim is to satisfy a customer or is to deliver what a customer needs. Otherwise, you don't just produce a product that you don't know if there's a market for it. So this means that an organization should not only focus on selling products, it should understand what do customers need, what do customers want, what customers expect from the product, and how customers perceive value. And in that manner, you can be able to satisfy the customer's expectations. And another facet of marketing is that marketing is a set of activities, meaning marketing is a collection of activities that is used or that are used by organizations to implement the customer focused philosophy. And those activities should include creating products and services that are needed or wanted by the customers, communicating with the customers, delivering products and services to the customers, and then obviously exchanging value with customers. So, marketing is the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offers that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. Please note that this definition highlights four important activities that come from marketing, right? So the first activity that I want us to look at is creating value. So businesses should develop products and services rather that are meant to satisfy customer needs. So you need to know what the customers need for you to produce something that's going to satisfy that need. And then, for instance, a transport company develops a reliable delivery service for businesses that need goods transported, right? And then, secondly, another value or another activity that comes or that should come from marketing is communication. So, organizations need to inform their customers about the products and services that they offer. And that communication can be done by advertising your product, your social media posts and your presence, sales representatives, websites and brochures. And then thirdly, the third activity is to deliver value. Marketing should deliver value to the customers. And that means that the product or a service that is produced or that is offered by an organization must reach the customer in a convenient and effective manner. And then lastly, one activity that comes from marketing is an exchange of value. So customers provide something in return, and it's usually money. We pay for the products and services. That's where the exchange takes place. So, why marketing and why all of these activities? that's where customer satisfaction comes to place. All of that is done to make sure that customers are satisfied with our product. So, customer satisfaction is the feeling a customer experiences when a product or service meets or exceeds their expectations. I think it's natural that everyone, when they buy something, you buy something because you have a certain expectation. But more than anything, we are more satisfied when that product exceeds what we expected it to do, meaning it's performing way better than you expected. So customer satisfaction depends on a comparison between customer expectation and actual performance. What am I expecting from this product? If I'm buying a phone, what am I expecting from this phone? I want good quality, good camera quality. And then satisfaction now will come from when I see the actual performance of this phone that I bought. I expected it to give me good quality pictures and actual performance. If it's really giving me what I expected, then I'm satisfied. But if it's not giving me what I wanted, if the pictures still look like I'm in clouds, then I'm not going to be satisfied. So generally, the customer compares what they expected with what they actually received from that product. So there's something that's called the disconfirmation paradigm that I want us to look at. So this paradigm explains how customer satisfaction is formed, right? So we said satisfaction comes from comparing performance of a product and expectations of the customer who bought the product, right? And there are three possible outcomes that come from, or the paradigm suggests that there can only be three outcomes that come from customer satisfaction, right? There can be positive confirmation, which is satisfaction. There can be just confirmation, which is satisfaction also. And then there can be negative confirmation, which is dissatisfaction, right? So positive confirmation will come from when the product exceeds what you expected it to do. It performs better than you expected. That's positive confirmation. And then confirmation comes from the product does exactly what you expected it to do. Nothing more, nothing less. That's still satisfaction. And then negative confirmation is when the product is really not doing what you wanted it to do or what you expected it to do. It's not performing as good as you expected it to perform, right? So I've just explained that if performance exceeds expectations, then you get positive disconfirmation and customers become delighted. And then if performance equals expectations, then the customer is just satisfied because they're getting just what they wanted and what they paid for. And then if performance falls below expectations, then the customer will get negative disconfirmation because now the customer becomes dissatisfied, right? So, for instance, imagine you are expecting a delivery that's meant to arrive within 5 days. If the parcel or the delivery arrives in 3 days, then performance exceeds expectations and the customer will be satisfied. And if the parcel or the delivery arrives in 5 days as expected, then performance meets expectations and the customer will still be satisfied. But if the delivery arrives in 8 days, then it means performance is below expectation because the customer expected the delivery in 5 days. Therefore, the customer will be dissatisfied. So, how do we measure customer satisfaction? How do we know our customers are satisfied? So, customer satisfaction should be measured as a permanent and ongoing process. Customer expectations and experiences change over time. For instance, a phone that I liked last year, I might not like this year. And it's the responsibility of the organization who sells or who sold me the phone to find out if I'm still happy or not with the phone that I bought from them a year ago. So therefore, organizations should regularly collect information from customers, and different methods of measuring customer satisfaction include one, formal research surveys, where customers can be asked to complete surveys about product quality, service delivery, staff behavior, delivery times, overall satisfaction, right? Secondly, customer satisfaction can be measured through analysis of customer complaints. So customer complaints will provide an organization with valuable information about problems within the organization. So complaints normally reveal or can reveal poor service, product defects, delays, communication problems, as well as unmet expectations. Thirdly, um, interviews can be used whereby employees will be interviewed, and employees often interact directly with customers, so they may have useful information about customer needs and concerns. And then fourthly, information from intermediaries, where organizations can collect information from retailers, sales agents, and wholesalers. So these intermediaries often have direct contact with customers and can actually provide valuable information about their needs and concerns and complaints. So we have what we call a Herzberg's two-factor model of customer service. Customer service can provide several important benefits to an organization, right? And the Herzberg's two-factor model looks at hygiene factors and satisfiers, right? And hygiene factors are those benefits that you get from a product that you were expecting to get either way. And then the satisfiers are those that will wow you from the product that you actually bought. And the hygiene factors contribute to the actual satisfaction of the customer, and then the satisfiers contribute to dissatisfaction of the customer. So Herzberg's two-factor model of customer service explains how customer service influences customer satisfaction, dissatisfaction, loyalty, and perceived value. The model distinguishes between hygiene factors, which are basic service requirements, and satisfiers, which provide an exceptional or wow experience. And how does the model do that? One, it supports the customer-centered marketing philosophy. So marketing is a customer-oriented way of thinking. An organization must understand what customers need, want, expect, and consider valuable. Therefore, the model supports this idea by encouraging businesses to identify two levels of customer expectations, right? So obviously from a product, you will have your most basic expectation. If I am buying a phone, I'm expecting, or let's just say if I'm buying, let's just say a phone. If I'm buying a phone, obviously I'm expecting the phone to make calls and receive calls as well as sending messages, right? That's basic expectation, which must always be met by the phones. And then now you end up getting additional benefits. For instance, with an iPhone, you can scan documents with just from the app that's called Notes that comes with iPhone. That's an additional benefit from actually using an iPhone, right? So basic expectations are just basic expectations that must always be met, no matter what. They must be met. The product has to deliver that. And then the additional benefits, those are the ones that can exceed expectations and just delight customers. Secondly, the model explains the difference between preventing dissatisfaction and creating satisfaction. So a key principle of the model is that hygiene factors and satisfiers do not perform exactly the same function. Hygiene factors prevent dissatisfaction, meaning hygiene factors are the basic or minimum service standards that customers expect. Their presence does not necessarily impress customers because customers regard them as normal. However, their absence actually causes dissatisfaction because if I am not getting the most basic expectation from what I bought, how am I going to be satisfied, right? So examples of those hygiene factors would include a clean business premise or accurate prices, safe products, respectful employees, reasonable waiting times, correct orders, etc., etc. Right? For instance, consider a customer visiting KFC. The customer expects the restaurant to be clean, the food to be safe, and the order to be correct. So when these things happen, the customer may not consider the service extraordinary. However, when the restaurant is dirty or the order isn't correct, the customer becomes dissatisfied because this shows that hygiene factors mainly protect the business from negative customer experiences. And then satisfiers create positive satisfaction. Satisfiers are additional services, or rather service features that exceed normal expectations and create a wow experience. And that will include faster than expected delivery, a personalized message, and an unexpected discount, free delivery, etc., etc. Right? Thirdly, this model aligns with the disconfirmation paradigm. So customer satisfaction through the comparison between customer expectations and actual performance can be connected directly to the three outcomes of the disconfirmation paradigm, which the first outcome is or comes from performance below basic expectations. So this is when hygiene factors are now missing, and then the performance will generally fall below expectation, and the customer becomes dissatisfied. And then the other outcome where performance meets basic expectations, this is when hygiene factors are present. Performance meets expectation. The customer is satisfied, but may not really be that delighted because they got what they were expecting anyways. And then third outcome being performance exceeds expectations. This is where now satisfiers are added. Performance exceeds expectations and creates positive disconfirmation, right? For instance, the order arrives earlier than expected and the customer receives accurate updates at all times. Or an unavailable product is replaced after consulting the customer, right? And then fourthly, it supports the creation and delivery of value. So marketing, um, like we said earlier, is responsible for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offers that have value for customers. So the Herzberg model shows that value is not created only through the physical product, but value is also created through the service experience surrounding the product. For instance, two banks may offer similar transactional accounts, but customers may prefer Capitec because they perceive its banking processes as simpler and more convenient. So the account is a core product. You went to Capitec to open an account, right? But the following services may contribute to value: clear communication, easy to use banking apps, accessible branches, helpful consultants, fast transaction processing, transparent charges. So basic functionality represents hygiene factors. And then exceptional convenience and efficient problem solving may become satisfiers. So the model therefore shows that customer value consists of both the product and the way the customer is treated before, during, and after the exchange. Fifthly, the model explains why customer satisfaction must be measured continuously. So organizations should measure customer satisfaction continuously because customer expectations and experiences do change over time. So the model guides this measurement. A business should not ask only, are customers satisfied? It should also investigate which basic service requirements are we failing to meet and which additional service features delight our customers, right? So customer complaints are especially useful for identifying missing hygiene factors. Compliments, positive reviews, referrals, and high satisfaction ratings can help identify satisfiers. Number 6, the model connects with the benefits of customer services. So the development of benefits such as customer retention, base profits, revenue growth, cost savings, referrals, and the ability to charge a price premium is explained by the model how that can be done. So as we noted that hygiene factors can help retain customers. So when a business consistently meets basic service requirements, customers have fewer reasons to leave. Therefore, we are retaining our customers. That's how we develop customer retention. Satisfiers strengthen loyalty and referrals. So when a business exceeds expectations, customers may become emotionally positive about the brand and recommend it to others. For example, an Uber driver who's professional, arrives promptly, assists with luggage, and ensures a safe journey may receive a high rating and a positive recommendation. Satisfiers may support a price premium, so customers may be willing to pay more when they trust a business to provide a consistently superior experience, right? Hence, people will buy your luxury cars like your Mercedes, whereas there are cheaper cars that have almost the same technology. Number 7, the model strengthens the exchange relationship. So the exchange obviously involves two parties providing something of value to one another. And this model shows that a successful exchange involves more than transferring money and product. The quality of the service affects whether customers will participate in future exchanges. For instance, a customer may buy a cell phone from a network provider. The first exchange occurs when the customer pays and receives the phone. However, future exchanges depend on whether the provider activates the contract correctly, explains the conditions clearly, provides network reliability, resolves billing problems, and offers useful support. So poor hygiene factors may cause the customer to cancel the contract or change providers. And strong satisfiers, on the other hand, may encourage the customer to renew the contract and recommend the provider. So the Herzberg's two-factor model aligns with marketing because marketing aims to understand and satisfy customer needs. We've already established that. So hygiene factors represent the basic service standards customers expect. When these standards are missing, customers become dissatisfied. Satisfiers are the additional benefits that exceed expectations and create a wow experience. So the model, therefore, explains or helps us understand the disconfirmation paradigm, the delivery of customer value, customer loyalty, referrals, repeat purchases, and long-term profitability. So, what are the benefits of customer service? First one is lower acquisition cost. So satisfied customers are more likely to remain loyal. It is generally less costly to retain existing customers than to constantly attract new customers because you have to continue investing in more marketing campaigns because you're trying to get new customers, right? And then the second benefit is base profit. So existing customers contribute to the organization's basic or ongoing profits. If you have existing customers, you keep on making money. So you're not making any losses. Third benefit is revenue growth. Obviously, if you have managed to retain your customers, so satisfied customers will buy more products, use more services, and return more frequently. And that will obviously increase the business revenue. Fourthly, um, sorry. Fourthly, will be the cost savings. Loyal customers may require less effort and fewer resources to serve because they already understand the organization and its processes. You don't have to invest more on trying to sell the brand and trying to make them know what the brand is offering. They already know. Fifth, it would be the referrals. So satisfied customers may recommend the organization to others, and that is known as the word of mouth marketing. For instance, a customer who receives excellent service from a transport company may recommend that company to other businesses. And then lastly, price premium. So satisfied and loyal customers may be willing to pay a higher price for a product and service that they trust and value. For instance, loyal customers to Apple, they are willing to pay any amount for their phones because they trust and they are loyal to Apple. And then in marketing, we have the concept of exchange. So an exchange is one of the central concepts of marketing. An exchange takes place when two or more parties provide something of value to each other. An example of an exchange will be when a customer gives money in exchange for a product or a service. However, an exchange does not happen automatically. Certain conditions must exist for the exchange to take place. As you can see the diagram, the exchange will be between a buyer and a seller. So 5 conditions of exchange include: one, there must at least be two parties involved in the exchange. There must be a buyer and a seller. 2, each party must have something of value. The buyer may have money or resources, and the seller may have a product, a service, or information that the buyer is willing to pay for. Thirdly, the parties must be able to communicate and deliver. So the parties must be able to communicate with each other. So the seller must also be able to deliver the product or service that the buyer has paid for. For instance, a customer cannot purchase a product if the seller cannot communicate with them or the seller cannot deliver the product. Fourthly, each party must be free to accept or reject the offer, meaning the exchange must happen voluntarily. So the buyer must be free to accept the offer or to reject the offer. The seller must also be free to decide whether to proceed with the transaction or not. Both parties must want to deal with each other. An exchange will only occur if both parties are willing to participate, and the buyer must want the product or service, and the seller must be willing to provide it. So, in conclusion, marketing is more than advertising and selling. It is a customer-centered philosophy and a set of activities aimed at creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging value. Successful organizations understand customer needs, meet basic service expectations, and where possible, they try to exceed them by creating or to create satisfaction and loyalty. By continuously measuring customer experiences, maintaining good customer services or service, and ensuring that both buyers and sellers receive value from the exchange, businesses can build strong relationships, encourage repeat purchases, and achieve long-term profitability. Thank you.